Hi, I'm Daniel Kosoy, and this is United 24 Media. The city of Kryvyi Rih commemorated 4 members of the family who were killed in a Russian attack on November 11th. 32-year-old Olena and her 3 children, 10-year-old Kirilo, almost 3-year-old Demid, and 2-month-old Uliana, died after Russian forces struck a residential building with a ballistic missile. During the funeral ceremony, the father, Maxim, the sole survivor of the family, mourned his wife and children.
I don't want to live. Today, I have to be here with you, close to you. My soul, my blood, my heart, my support, my backbone, my strength. I love you very much, and I will always love you.
During his speech, an air raid alert sounded in Kryvyi Rih. While the coffins of the family were carried past the school to the cemetery, the last bell rang for 4th grader Kirilo. The bodies of 3 children and their mother were recovered from the rubble of a building the day after a Russian attack. Russian forces are reportedly intensifying their assaults in the Kupiansk direction. In his evening address, President Zelensky stated the offensive as a whole is intensifying and thanked the defenders for their unwavering service.
Commander-in-Chief Syrskyi delivered a report, the front line, with most of the attention focused on the Donetsk region, as well as the occupiers' attempts to expand their offensive, especially in the Kupiansk direction. I'm grateful to all our units for their resilience.
Earlier that day, on November 13th, the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine reported that Russian forces, disguised in Ukrainian uniforms, attempted an assault in the Kupiansk direction, yet again violating the laws of conventional warfare. The Institute for the Study of War has observed that Russian forces are increasingly conducting mechanized assaults rather than pure infantry attacks due to the dry weather in the region, especially near Kupiansk. Because of these hostilities, the State Emergency Service alongside the National Police continue mandatory evacuation efforts, so oftentimes under the threat of being shelled by Russian troops. Meanwhile, the Ukrainian High Command issued a statement on November 14th to declare that the battle-scarred city of Kupiansk remains fully under the control of Ukraine, despite the raging battles on its outskirts. To follow the latest news from Ukraine, subscribe to our YouTube channel and leave a comment down below. An investigation has been initiated into the murder of a civilian woman perpetrated by Russian soldiers in the Donetsk region, as announced by the Prosecutor General's Office of Ukraine. The murder took place on November 10th in the village of Terny, in the Liman community, which is in close proximity to the current Russian occupation line. According to preliminary reports, the woman was walking in the outskirts of the village when she was spotted by Russian military, who subsequently opened fire. She is reported to have died immediately from a gunshot wound. President-elect Donald Trump returned to the White House on November 13th to meet with President Biden. They met in the Oval Office for a transfer of power, a long-held tradition in which the president and president-elect meet face-to-face, symbolic of a peaceful handing over of power. In a meeting which lasted nearly 2 hours, the leaders are assumed to have covered a variety of issues, including Ukraine. U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan, in a press briefing, said that Biden had urged Trump to continue supporting Ukraine, expressing that its resistance in the face of Russian aggression is in the interest of U.S. national security.
That President Biden reinforced his view that the United States standing with Ukraine on an ongoing basis is in our national security interest. And it's in our national security interest because a strong Europe, a stable Europe, standing up to aggressors and dictators and pushing back against their aggression is vital to ensuring that we don't end up getting dragged directly into a war, which has happened obviously twice in the 20th century on the European continent.
Sullivan stated that in the 2 months before Trump is inaugurated, the Biden administration will cooperate with Congress to prepare additional funds for Ukraine for 2025. He added that this is to ensure that Ukraine will be in the best possible position to negotiate. A U.S. air defense base was officially opened in Poland on Wednesday. Located in the town of Rechkowo, near the Baltic coast, its construction started in 2008. This base is part of a broader NATO missile shield designed to protect Europe from short-range and medium-range missiles. Back in 2007, when the defense facility was still in the planning phase, Moscow had already labeled it as a threat.
Możemy z całą pewnością powiedzieć, że
We can
Stany
say with complete certainty that the United States is indeed, in a very tangible sense, a guarantor of the security of the Republic of Poland, as well as the entire North Atlantic Alliance, especially today, in the era of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, and particularly for its eastern flank.
However, Reuters, citing military sources, reported that the system in Poland is geared towards stopping missiles fired from the Middle East. To intercept aerial threats from Russia, the radar would need to change in direction, which is a complex procedure and would entail a change in policy. Ukraine will receive another IRIS-T air defense system from Germany by the end of the year. This was announced by President Zelensky on his X page after a phone call with German Chancellor Olaf Scholz. This will be the sixth such system that his government has provided to Kyiv. In September, Scholz reported that the country had ordered 17 IRIS-T of varying configurations for Ukraine. He also told Bloomberg that by 2026, 24 air defense systems will be delivered to Kyiv from Berlin, including 12 short-range and 12 medium-range systems. Ukraine is ramping up the production of military decoy targets, aiming to divert costly Russian missiles and loitering munitions. Reports appeared as early as 2022 by the Washington Post of Ukrainian armed forces utilizing this tactic to dupe Russian troops into expending million-dollar rockets to destroy dummy HIMARS system replicas. After a few weeks in the field, the decoys managed to draw in at least 10 caliber cruise missiles. This success led to the expansion in production for a broader use, wrote the Washington Post. 2 years later, Ukrainian Pravda media revealed the development process of a myriad of replicas being made primarily in Ukraine. Among the first was an ATGM dummy target of the widespread Stugna system, with later additions of the Soviet-era D-20s, as well as an American-supplied modern weapon taking off on the battlefield. According to reports by CNN, The Guardian, and the Financial Times, citing an anonymous senior US official, Russia claims to have hit more US-supplied weaponry than the Pentagon has even sent. Russian forces have recently begun disseminating pictures of captured Ukrainian tanks, including the German Leopard, which later turned out to be a full-scale aluminum or inflatable replica. Ukrainian media noted that this is likely an indicator of success, and the decoy targets are sending Russian troops on wild goose chases, saving the lives of Ukrainian defenders along the way. A Ukrainian Leopard tank crew managed to single-handedly stop an entire Russian armored convoy in its tracks. On November 13th, the 33rd Mechanized Brigade published footage of the crew riding out to face the entire brunt of a Russian assault launched in the Donetsk region, consisting of a convoy of tanks, IFVs, and armored personnel carriers. Alongside the tank crew, Ukrainian artillery managed to disassemble the Russian armored units one by one, leaving no survivors. At least 47 Russian soldiers were killed in action, 2 tanks were destroyed, alongside 3 APCs, an IFV, and a motorcycle. That's it for today. We're United 24 Media. Thank you for being with us, and see you tomorrow.